Guys, I'm here again at Replay Guitar Exchange in Tampa with my good friend Riff with Cliff.
Hey, what's going on, Jason? Nice to see you again, man. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute, dude, so I'm really glad to be back in. You know, I wanted to try an amp, and I know you guys have this. I think it's called the Catalyst by Line 6.
Yeah, the newest thing from Line 6, and they're awesome. So I'm glad you're here because we want to hear your demo of it.
Me too, man. I'm excited to play this amp, and the reason why is you guys know, those of you who have been following my channel for any amount of time, thank you, by the way. In my early days, back in 2010, and for those few years afterwards, I demoed, because I owned a lot of the Line 6 products. You guys remember the XT Live, the HD500. I even have the Pod Go, Line 6 Pod Go now that I use for my live solo gigs. So I'm really excited to play through this amp, man.
Yeah, man, looking through Line 6 over the years, they've come a long way.
I think they have. Yeah, I think they have. Remember the XT Live I used to have way back in the day. Like I said, this is like 2009, 2010.
Yeah, man.
It was good, but it was kind of fizzy, you know what I mean?
Dude, Line 6, that was my first amp, the little spider.
Oh, like the spider. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was my introduction to amplifiers and rock and roll. And now look at all the technology they've got. So I'm really excited to hear you play it.
I'm anxious to play through it. And dude, what guitar should I play? I don't want to play the typical metal guitar. I want something different this time.
Dude, I have the best guitar for you to play. This is a Fender Custom Shop, and it's a Telecaster. And it's Fiesta Red, so it's a little bit zazzy. So.
Man, awesome. So I'm going to give you guys some cool sounds, hopefully some cool sounds. And make sure you hang around till the end of the video just for a quick tone talk with Cliff and I. The first thing I will say about this amp is this little part, this little tag, I guess, that comes with the amp. You'll want to keep this, okay? This has your delays, your modulation, your pitch, and of course your reverb, all the settings laid out here. And where you control all of your effects is right here. So you've got this effect here. You can turn it on and off. It's off right now. Now if I turn it on, you'll see that it's green, okay? Green means delay, and this is why you want to keep this tag on here. Of course, unless you memorize all this stuff, which that's out for me. So green is delay. So if I want to switch from green to, let's say, blue, which is modulation, go from delay to chorus, well, what I'll do is I'll just hold this button down and then tap that button. Now it's at blue, okay? Now if I do that again, we're on modulation now, right? If I do that again, hold it down, tap it, now it's purple. Well, what is purple here? Purple is the pitch. So you've got different levels, of course, of your delay, modulation, and pitch. So depending on what effect you're on here, you can control that effect with this knob here, the effect knob. So turning this, to my knowledge here, and I have not read the manual, I like to just be able to plug into these things and figure them out, right? We don't want to have to get too technical here, but to control the level, you just turn that knob. And again, your level here, here's your delay, your simple level, simple delay, vintage digital, tape echo. So that would obviously be, right there, the simple, vintage, and tape. I believe that's how that works. And of course the same for modulation and pitch. Now, reverb here, you've got different levels of reverb. Your reverb is separate, okay? You don't have to hold this down and tap and all that good stuff. But again, your reverb, you've got a separate setting, separate knob for reverb. And that's cool to have that. So you can have your reverb on at all times, and of course use any of these other effects with it. So the only thing I'm kind of uncertain of, and again, I did not read the manual on this, and I kind of purposely did that. I know you could dig into the manual and probably do more. I like to be able, and this is just me, and maybe it's you too, I like to be able to plug into the amp and just kind of figure everything out. In my opinion, it should be simple enough to figure it out and get moving. Of course, you can go back to the manual and dig deeper if you want, but to my knowledge, I believe you can have the reverb on. I know you can have the reverb on at all times, and this is kind of a little hiccup about this amp here. I don't think you can have all three of the other effects on at the same time. You can have the reverb on, but you only get to choose one of the other effects, delay, modulation, or pitch. To my knowledge, I believe that's how it works. The other little hang up, it's kind of a pain to hold that tap down and have to switch through there. So if it were me making this amp, or if there's a version 2 of this amp that's ever going to come out, my strong suggestion would be, why not give each effect their own level of effect, and just have that capability right there. Instead of having to hold down that tap button or hold down the one button, hit the tap button, all that good stuff, I would just rather have just a separate knob for each effect. Now, what's cool about this is the ease of switching the type of amp. So you've got the clean, we've got a boutique, we've got a chime, we've got a crunch, we've got a dynamic, okay, which is kind of more of a, I guess, a hard rock there. Then we've got the high gain for the metalheads, us metalheads, right? And then we've got a boost pedal as well. So we got the booster, you can turn that on. That acts like just, I guess, a little overdrive to kind of clean it up, tighten it up a bit. You can turn that on and off. And then you've got your gain setting, and of course you've got your typical bass, mid, treble, and presence here. And you have 2 channels, so you could program channel A to be one thing, program channel B to be something else if you want. Now you do have output power selector back here. You can have it at 100 watts, which I've got it on 100 here. You can go down to 50 and even half a watt, and you've also got a mute feature here as well. You've also got a USB input here as well, so you could plug this directly into your computer and probably record. You've got the foot switch input here. You've also got a headphone input, and if you wanted to put some more pedals in this amp, run this amp with some pedals, you've got your send and return. For example, if you wanted like a delay pedal or chorus, or reverb after the amp. If you don't want to use the amp's effects or add some more, you can use the send return there to add effects after the amp there. There's also a direct out, and I find this feature to be cool because you could plug this into, for example, a soundboard, right? And just go directly through the board, and that way you've got that sound coming out of your main speakers if you're playing live. So that's a really cool option to have as well. right, so that was a pretty cool experience. Of course, I am going to tell you the good and the bad here. So the good, I think that the tones themselves, the amp itself, the different amp models you have in there, I think they sound pretty cool, man.
I think so too. I think they're very modern. I think you can get a lot out of it. So there's tons of options, which is always really cool for versatile players.
I would say so as well. The one caveat here, though, I think if you're into, I guess, more of some of the extreme metal or just metal in general, I don't know, it might leave a little bit wanting for the extreme metal, but all the other tones ranging from classic heavy metal, hard rock, and then down to your blues and country and all that stuff, it's really versatile.
Yes, I agree. There's a ton that you can get out of it. There is a little bit of a learning curve with the thing.
That, yeah.
And that's been that way with Line 6 forever. You know, if you've ever had any of the like little stomps or the helix,
little pods, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's always been like that, yeah. But you can get a ton of different things out of it for sure.
Yeah, that was one of my frustration points. You know, you and I talked about this earlier when we were setting the amp up, was the effects there, having to hold down that button and click to the next to get the effect. You know, as I mentioned earlier, guys, the reverb, that's a separate, kind of listed as a separate effect. You can just turn it on off. It's got its own knob. If I were to make, and I said this earlier, if I were to make a part 2 Catalyst, I would probably have a separate knob for each of those effects.
Yeah, Jason, I actually, bro, I agree with you, because, you know, when you're playing, you kind of just want it to be simple. You don't want to have to like, oh, okay, I got to press this button, then hold this, and then it'll go to the next effect. And if that's not the next effect, then I got to press it a couple times. And it's a little clunky, but it's in there. You just got to get used to it and moving it around. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. And on that note, I guess the amp, for the most part, it's pretty simple. Aside from that piece of it, me, myself, I don't really care to do a lot of deep editing. I just want to plug in. Mm-hmm. If I can't get a decent tone, like within that first 30 seconds, I'm probably going to move on. So this amp was pretty easy to dial in a tone. Actually, I kept like the EQ. I didn't touch the EQ. I kept it the same throughout each channel I played through. I even kept the gain at the same level, and I just went through the different amps. Of course, you would want to dive deeper into tweaking the EQ and all that. But again, if I can't dial in something fairly quickly that I like, and I pretty much I liked the tones that I heard coming out of that thing, man.
Yeah, for a guitar player who's really wanting to find their unique sonic fingerprint, it's a cool amp because there's so many options. But for those who get intimidated or like, oh, this is too much, it's like mind-blowing, well, that's where it gets crazy, because you plug in and there's so much going on, right? It's just like, that's Line 6's way. So if you are trying to find the ideal, your tone, your sonic thumbprint, it's a really cool one for that.
I think so too, yeah, because again, you can quickly dial in your amp tone. It's not really a lot of like programming per se for that. You can tweak that fairly quickly. It's the effects part. That's the little hang up that I have with the amp. Now, one question here, dude, and I don't know if we can ask this, but Line 6 Catalyst versus the Boss Katana.
Well, I'm definitely interested to hear what your viewers think.
Replay Guitar Exchange, guys, I have a link going to their website. They take online orders as well. They're based out of Tampa, Florida here, which thank you so much for letting me come in and film.
Absolutely.
I love coming in here, the great wall of amps, the big wall of all these guitars. Look at all these guitars that they have in here, man. Just a huge selection of guitars. So, and guys, I get nothing out of this. Replay allows me to come in and give you guys some cool content that I would not be able to give you if you guys didn't let me do that. So in exchange, please go to their website, check out what they have. They got a lot of great pre-owned stuff just coming and going, and you guys do all the inspection points and all that good stuff.
And we ship for free.
Oh, so that's right.
That's a big one too. Yeah. As long as it's over $10, which is really easy to do here.
Yeah.
We'll ship it to you for free.
I haven't found a $10 guitar yet, so. But yeah, check their website out, guys. The link is in the description of this video. It'll be the first link you see. Cliff, dude, thank you so much once again, man, for having me.
Thank you, my friend. Dude. I appreciate you.
And you and I are going to get together soon. We're going to do some more videos. If you guys, by the way, guys, if you didn't catch the video that we did at Cliff's studio a while back, that was cool too. So I'll post that link in the description of this video as well. So be sure to check that out. Guys, thank you for watching the channel here. Give this video a like. Make sure you're subscribed, all the good stuff. And until next time, keep it metal.
See ya.
Yes.